Denny, the first place fantasy managers will be looking for waiver wire salvation is the 49ers backfield and Jeff Wilson following Elijah Mitchell's knee injuries out 2 months. Jeff Wilson looks good on paper, the lead back in a run-first offense, but as hardened fantasy veterans know, the road to Kyle Shanahan hell is paved with the best of waiver wire intentions, Denny. Is Wilson actually going to help people, or will this be a commitified mess? Will Tyrion Davis-Price just suddenly be the lead back after being inactive last week? Will Jordan Mason live up to the hype, or should we actually believe in Jeff Wilson?
I couched my Jeff Wilson take in the waiver wire column, which you can find on NBCSportsEdge.com. I couched it with saying that, A, you have Debo in the backfield. B, you have Trey Lance in the backfield. And then C, and not insignificantly, you have Tyrion Davis-Price, who will probably be active this week. If he's not active, that's a huge development.
If he's not active, then talk about someone who will be joining Nathaniel Hackett like in the breadline.
Right.
If TDP is not active this week.
So TDP, as the kids are calling him, he will be active. And the reason he wasn't active, and our own Ray Summerlin actually made this point on Twitter today. I think it's a good dot connecting process here. Mason, the third string running back for the Niners,
for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, what was his name? Jordan Mason?
Yeah, it's Jordan Mason. Did he? I believe he didn't play a single snap.
He didn't play, but he played special teams, which is why maybe he was up and TDP was down, right? And so with the injury to Mitchell, TDP comes in, and then Mason continues to play special teams. Anyway, I do think TDP needs to be rostered in a lot of leagues. Maybe not every league, but a lot of leagues. I do think Jeff Wilson gets the first crack at it, but we know Kyle Shanahan. We know he won't be hesitant to flip the switch if Jeff Wilson is not effective. And honestly, Jeff Wilson has not been effective in a long time.
He's pretty much never been effective. He's had a few really big games. He had a 180-yard game at one point, but I mean, Jeff Wilson's not a lead back. Like, he's a classic cog in a committee. And you mentioned, the Debo threat, the Trey Lance threat. They both outrushed Jeff Wilson on Sunday. Elijah Mitchell outrushed Jeff Wilson despite being in the game for 5 minutes. And it's one of those classic situations where you can't not add Jeff Wilson. And some teams probably already really in trouble at running back, but I wouldn't be emptying the fab clip on Jeff Wilson. I will very much say I think Jeff Wilson honestly is going to max out as a flex.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that honestly, I know you're probably gonna cut my mic here, but
that's fine. I'll cut it. It's fine.
I wouldn't argue with someone who would rather add Rex Burkhead.
I never cut your mic when you tell the truth. Unfortunately, there is a lot of truth in that really, really dismal, dark sentence that was just uttered by you. But yeah, I mean, would it really be surprising if Jeff Wilson wasn't even the lead back in week 2? I mean, that would be a bit, even for Shanny, a bit over the top. But I feel like you can't count that out, can you?
Well, okay. So per our own Patrick Corain's pass rate over expected stats, San Francisco was minus 19%, negative 19% under their expected pass rate. That is the lowest in the league. I know the rain.
Yeah, I will say, I really just don't. I know everyone kind of knows. I don't think you can take any of the passing stats from either the Bears or the 49ers at face value on Sunday. It was some of the worst weather I've ever seen in an NFL game.
Yeah, it was. I do think that this is probably a bottom 3 team as far as pass rate goes. So, that could fuel some volume for Jeff Wilson. I don't know. I think that the rushing quarterback thing could be quite the hit to anyone who's back there for the Niners.
I haven't done a huge think on the rankings yet, but I think I'm gonna have Jeff Wilson the RB30 range. And if you're hoping for a plug and play RB2 like Elijah Mitchell was, I just don't think that's happening here. And so, Adam, make a reasonable bid, but live to fight another day. Basically, if you really need a running back. And you've got fab to burn because it's week 2. So hopefully you still have fab to burn. But live to fight another day is what I would say with Jeff Wilson. Beyond San Francisco, Denny, we have the Los Angeles Chargers in a receiver core road tripping to Kansas City on a short week without Keenan Allen. At least we think without Keenan Allen. That is not official yet for a 54.5 totaled affair. Fantasy managers who took late round flyers on Josh Palmer were probably disappointed by his week 2 output. DeAndre Carter was kind of disappointingly involved, but Pro Football Focus's Nathan Yonke charted Josh Palmer is playing every snap in 2 receiver sets. So the usage was still pretty good. Is he a preferred ad who will immediately start paying dividends for fantasy managers who didn't draft Josh Palmer this summer?
Yeah, I don't know if we can put too much stock in what happened in week 1. That was a weird situation where no single Chargers pass catcher saw more than 4 targets, which is just incredibly weird. Keenan Allen was
kind of a back and forth game too. How is that possible?
I don't know, but Keenan Allen was on his way to a big game. His absence creates a huge hole in the target share for LA. Josh Palmer, with Keenan Allen out last year for 1 game, led in every metric that you could possibly look at. He was actually the wide receiver 1 for the Chargers that week. So yes, it was disappointing last week, but this is your chance. Like you may not get a whole lot of chances to confidently use Josh Palmer in 12-team leagues. This is your chance.
Yeah, I think you just totally shake it off. You don't worry about DeAndre Carter, who apparently is the next man up in the receiver core. Looks like he's the 4th receiver over Jalen Guyton, but again, he was charted as playing every snap in 2 receiver sets after Keenan Allen left the game. So that's really the only bullet point that matters for me with Josh Palmer in week 2. Disappointing as the targets were. I mean, do you have any thoughts on Mike Williams, by the way? We weren't going to talk about this, but is there any 4 targets? Like you said, by definition, no one had more than 4 targets. Have you come across any Mike Williams factoids? Or is it just Mike Williams being Mike Williams?
Yeah, I have not, and I have looked actually, but he led the team in pass routes against the Raiders, and he led the receivers in snaps by a pretty good margin. Again, 4 targets. It's just man, it's pretty baffling. You would think that
Brandon Staley's analytics say you get tired after more than 4 targets. Right. Kind of like in baseball, you don't want the pitcher facing the lineup a 3rd time. So they've set a hard cap for everyone's targets per game at 4.
I didn't know that about baseball. That's interesting.
It's actually pretty disappointing with the Chargers, though, Denny.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Never more than 4 targets now for Keenan Allen. I feel like we have to adjust.
Well, and I would say don't freak out.
I also say this moving back to serious mode now with you. You're saying don't freak out about Mike Williams.
Yes, I'm sorry. I lost your the joke took on so many levels that I wasn't sure where we were.
So went down a few different rabbit holes. So
my brain just started to tune it all out. Yeah, don't freak out. I mean, if you drafted Mike Williams, and you hated yourself in week 1, first of all, welcome to the club, and secondly, you're playing him in a game that should go back and forth. Mike Williams has had big games against Kansas City's secondary, so just plug him in, and I believe things will get better.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.